Have you ever noticed how a single thought can change the entire color of your day? One morning, you wake up and the first thing that comes to your mind is asterisk, I'm so tired of this life. Asterisk, and suddenly, even the sunlight through your window feels heavy. The coffee doesn't taste the same. The people around you feel like strangers. You drag yourself through the hours, wishing the day would end. But another morning, you wake up and the thought is different. Asterisk, maybe today can be better. Asterisk, that one small thought doesn't erase your problems, it doesn't fix your life overnight, but somehow, the air feels lighter. You find a little bit more energy to move. And before you even realize it, that single thought has shaped your whole day. This is the quiet truth most people don't notice. It's not always the big events that break us or lift us up. Sometimes it's just one thought. A whisper in your own head. And if you're listening right now, maybe you've been fighting against the kind of thoughts that pull you down every single day. Maybe you've been hearing that voice telling you, asterisk, you're not enough. Asterisk, you've failed too many times. Asterisk, nothing will ever change. And because that voice repeats itself, day after day, it feels like it must be true. You begin to believe it. And believing it, you start living like it's your reality. That's why even small things, like answering a message, finishing a task, or smiling at yourself in the mirror, feel so heavy. I know that weight. The kind where people around you might see you laughing, working, or pretending to be fine, but inside, you're carrying a storm that no one else can feel. Sometimes you don't even want to explain anymore, because you're tired of hearing people say, just be positive, or asterisk, everything will be okay. Deep down, what you really want is not another cliché. You don't want someone to tell you that you should just think happy thoughts. Because if it were that easy, you wouldn't be struggling. What you want, what you need, is someone to tell you, asterisk, I see you. I understand that it's hard. And you're not weak for feeling this way. So let me start by saying this. You are not broken because you're tired. You are not a failure because you've lost your way. And you are not alone in this silent battle inside your own mind. The truth is, the thoughts you hold are shaping you more than you realize. And maybe, the battle of your life is not against the world outside, but against the voice inside that tells you you're not enough. But here's the hope. The same way one thought can drag you down, another thought, even the smallest one, can lift you up. And in the next moments, we're going to walk through this together. Because maybe just one thought today could change the course of your tomorrow. If one thought can lift you up or take you down, then let's be honest. Most of the time, the thoughts we listen to are the ones that take us down. Why is that? Why does the mind seem so quick to believe the negative, but so slow to trust the positive? The answer is not that you are weak, or broken, or unworthy. The answer is that as human beings, we are wired to survive. Your brain is constantly scanning for danger, constantly trying to protect you. That means it tends to hold on to fear, failure, and pain far more tightly than hope, success, or joy. This is why one small mistake can replay in your head for years, but one small victory fades away in a day. It's why the words of one critic can echo louder than the encouragement of 10 friends. It's why you can do 99 things right, and yet your mind keeps you awake at night over the one thing you did wrong. But here's the problem. When this survival mechanism runs wild, it doesn't just protect you, it traps you. It convinces you that you're not safe to hope again, not safe to dream again, not safe to try again. And soon, your thoughts stop being a shield and start becoming a prison. Think about this. Asterisk, how many times have you stopped yourself from starting something because the thought, I'll fail anyway, showed up? Asterisk, how many days have you wasted because the thought asterisk, what's the point? Asterisk, whispered in your ear? Asterisk, how many opportunities have you turned away from because the thought, I'm not ready, drowned out your courage? And slowly, almost without noticing, you begin to live inside these thoughts as if they were the truth. You don't even question them anymore. You wake up, and before the day begins, you've already lost, because the battlefield is in your mind. Let's make this real with some examples. Imagine a student who dreams of becoming a writer. She writes a short story, shows it to her teacher, and the teacher says, asterisk, it's okay, but not special. Asterisk, that one comment turns into a thought. Asterisk, I'm not talented. Asterisk, she repeats it so many times that she stops writing altogether. Not because she wasn't capable, but because one thought built a cage around her gift. Or take the man who tries starting a small business. It doesn't take off. Bills pile up. People ask him, asterisk, so, how's your project going? Asterisk, he laughs it off, but inside, one thought grows louder. Asterisk, I'm a failure. Asterisk, he stops trying, not because success was impossible, but because his thoughts told him it was. Maybe your story is different, but the feeling is the same. The heaviness doesn't come only from circumstances. It comes from the meaning you give them. And that meaning is shaped by your thoughts. The scary thing is, we don't always realize how much power a single thought has. We think it's just something in my head. But the truth is, thoughts create emotions. Emotions create actions. And actions create your life. Think about it like this. Asterisk, the thought, I'm not good enough, creates the emotion of shame. Shame makes you hide. Hiding keeps you from opportunities. And then your life shrinks. Asterisk, the thought, it's too late for me, creates the emotion of regret. Regret makes you stop trying. Stopping keeps you stuck. And then your life becomes smaller than it was meant to be. It all starts with a thought. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think the way out is to force themselves to think positive all the time. And when they can't, they blame themselves even more. But you and I both know, it's not that simple. You can't slap a happy thought on a bleeding wound and expect it to heal. The real problem is not that you have negative thoughts. The real problem is that you believe them without question. You let them run your life like an invisible script. So let's name it clearly. The issue is not your circumstances, not your past, not your failures. The issue is that the thoughts you hold about yourself, your life, your future, are quietly shaping everything you do. And unless you learn to notice them, challenge them, and shift them, they will keep pulling you down. But here's the good news. If one thought can take you down, then one thought can also lift you up. You don't have to fight every negative thought at once. You just need one different thought to begin changing the direction of your life. And that's where we're going next. How to open the door to those thoughts that can lift you, even when everything inside you feels heavy. We've seen how one thought can quietly trap you, turning into the walls of an invisible prison. But here's the beauty of the mind. The same way a thought can lock you in, another thought can unlock the door. And no, this isn't about pretending your pain doesn't exist. This isn't about forcing yourself to paste a smile on your face and chant empty affirmations like, asterisk, everything's fine. Asterisk, because you and I both know, it isn't always fine. Life is hard. Loss is real. Failure hurts. And the human heart gets tired. The path forward begins not with denial but with awareness. Awareness that you are not your thoughts. Awareness that you can choose which ones to believe and which ones to let pass like clouds drifting across the sky. 1. Notice the voice inside. The first step is simply this: notice. When a thought shows up, asterisk, you'll never make it, asterisk, or you're too broken to heal, pause and notice it. Don't judge it. Don't wrestle with it. Just name it for what it is. A thought. Not a fact. Not your identity. Not the whole truth of your life. Imagine you're sitting by a river, And every thought that comes is like a leaf floating past on the water. You don't have to grab every leaf. You don't have to jump in and chase them. You can just watch them float by. That one shift, realizing that your thoughts are not commands but passing events, can open space between you and them. And in that space, you can breathe again. 2. Question the thought. Once you notice a thought, the second step is to ask, is this the truth, or is this a story my mind is telling me? For example, the thought I'm not good enough. Good enough for what? According to who? On what evidence? Maybe you failed once. Maybe you were rejected. But does that single moment mean you are defined forever? Most of the time, when you ask the question honestly, you'll realize the thought isn't the truth. It's just fear, pain, or habit speaking. 3. Replace with a lifting thought. Now comes the part where the shift happens. The goal is not to go from, I'm a failure, to I'm the best in the world. That's too big, too unbelievable, and your mind will reject it. Instead, replace it with a thought that is both kind and believable. Something small but strong enough to lift you a little higher. Instead of, I'm a failure, try, I'm still learning. Instead of, it's too late, try, I can start small today. Instead of, I'll never be enough, try, I'm worthy of trying again. These aren't magic words. They won't erase pain, but they create a seed. And if you water that seed, it grows into action. Anchor the thought in action. Here's the secret. A thought becomes powerful when you act on it. Imagine you wake up with the thought nothing matters. If you stay in bed, avoid people, and withdraw, that thought gets stronger. But if you wake up with the thought, maybe one small thing matters today, and then you choose one small action, like making your bed, or sending a message to a friend, or drinking water, you begin to prove that thought true. It's not about changing your whole life in a day. It's about anchoring one lifting thought into one small action, and then another, and another. Over time, those actions reshape not just your days, but your identity. 5. Collect proof of better thoughts. The mind believes what it sees repeated, so you need to give it proof. Keep a small notebook, or even a note on your phone. Each time you experience a small victory, a moment you pushed through, a kind word someone said, a step you took, write it down. When the thought, I never succeed, comes back, open your list and say, that's not true. Here's proof. Over time, this becomes your defense. Because the brain can't argue with evidence. 6. Surround yourself with different voices. It's almost impossible to lift yourself if every voice around you is pulling you down. That doesn't mean cutting off everyone in your life, but it does mean choosing carefully what you feed your mind. What are you listening to? What are you watching? Who are you spending time with? Because every voice you allow into your space becomes a seed in your thoughts. If you want better thoughts, surround yourself with voices that lift, not crush. Read stories of resilience. Listen to music that heals instead of numbs. Spend time with people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself. 7. Practice gentle persistence. Changing your thought life is not about perfection. You will still wake up some days with heavy thoughts. You will still hear the old whispers of failure, shame, or fear. But here's the difference. Now you know you don't have to obey them. You don't have to let one thought decide the whole story of your day. It's like training a muscle. At first, it feels weak, but with persistence, gentle persistence, it grows. Every time you notice, question, replace, and act, you are strengthening a new pathway in your mind. A pathway toward hope, not despair. A simple example. Let's bring this into something very practical. Imagine you wake up tomorrow and the first thought is, asterisk, I can't do this anymore. It's just old pattern. You believe it, you sink deeper, you withdraw. New pattern. You notice the thought, take a breath, and whisper back, asterisk, that's a thought, not the truth. Let's see if I can do just one thing today. It's just. So you get up, drink a glass of water, and write down, asterisk, I kept going today. It's just. That's it. One small victory. But tomorrow, when the thought comes again, you'll have proof. You kept going yesterday. You can keep going today. And little by little, those small lifting thoughts will gather strength until one day, you look back and realize, the prison door was never locked. You always had the key. So here's the heart of it. You don't need to change every thought in your mind. You don't need to become a master of positive thinking. You just need to begin with one thought that lifts you instead of takes you down. Because that one thought can change your feelings. Those feelings can change your actions. And your actions can change your life. And if you give yourself permission to begin, even small, even shaky, you'll discover that you are stronger than the thoughts that once held you captive. Stories reach us in ways logic never can. A single story has the power to enter your heart, bypass your defenses, and show you that change is possible. Let me share with you a story, part true, part universal, that mirrors the journey many of us walk when one thought nearly destroys us, and one thought brings us back to life. The beginning of the fall. Ethan was a young man with quiet dreams. He wasn't chasing fame or riches. He just wanted to live a meaningful life, to build something of his own, to be someone his family could be proud of. He studied hard, got a decent job, and for a while, everything seemed fine. But then, life started throwing punches. The company he worked for shut down. He lost his income. Bills piled up. Friends drifted away. His relationship ended. One by one, the pieces he thought were solid began to crumble. At first, he told himself, asterisk, it's just a season. I'll get back on my feet. Asterisk, but as weeks turned into months, that belief grew harder to hold. The longer he stayed unemployed, the louder another thought began to whisper, asterisk, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe this is all you'll ever be. Ethan started waking up late, scrolling endlessly on his phone, avoiding calls from family because he couldn't stand their questions. Asterisk, so, what are you doing now? Asterisk, he avoided mirrors because he hated the face looking back at him. One thought had taken root. Asterisk, I am a failure. And everything in his life began to shape itself around that belief. The breaking point. One rainy night, Ethan sat alone in his small apartment. The room was dark except for the dull glow of his computer screen. He had been staring at job postings for hours, not applying, just scrolling. Every listing he read triggered the same thought. Asterisk, you're not qualified. Don't even try. His chest felt heavy, his eyes burned, and for the first time in his life, he wondered if there was any point in continuing. He thought about how easy it would be to simply disappear. And then it happened, one thought sharp as a knife. Asterisk, nobody would even notice if you were gone. That was the lowest point. And he almost believed it. But just as quickly, another thought slipped through, so quiet he almost missed it. Asterisk, what if someone would notice? What if someone would care? It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, but it was enough. That single thought kept him from giving up that night. The first small shift. The next morning, Ethan woke up feeling the same heaviness. But he remembered that quiet thought from the night before. And for some reason, he decided to test it. He texted his younger sister, just a simple line, asterisk, hey, how are you? Within minutes, she replied, asterisk, I'm good, but I miss you. Are you okay? Want to talk? It's just, that was the proof Ethan didn't know he needed. Someone would notice. Someone did care. It didn't solve his problems, but it planted a new seed. Asterisk, maybe I matter more than I think. It's just the slow climb. Over the next few weeks, Ethan began experimenting with small shifts in his thoughts. When "I'm a failure" showed up, he didn't try to erase it with fake positivity. Instead, he whispered back, asterisk, "I'm still learning." It's just when "I'll never get hired" echoed in his head, he changed it to asterisk, "I only need one yes." It's just, and every time he replaced a thought, he paired it with one small action. Asterisk, instead of staying in bed, he got up and went for a walk. Asterisk, instead of avoiding job applications, he sent just one per day. Asterisk, instead of isolating, he started calling a friend once a week. These actions didn't look like much from the outside. But inside, they were rewiring his identity. He was proving to himself that he was not powerless. The turning point. One day, after weeks of sending applications, Ethan got an interview. His first thought was, asterisk, "I'll blow it. I'm terrible at interviews." But then he caught himself. He took a deep breath and said, asterisk, "Maybe I can do better this time. Maybe I've learned." He went to the interview trembling, his palms sweaty. He stumbled on some answers, but he also spoke with honesty. And a week later, the phone rang, asterisk, "We'd like to offer you the job." It wasn't his dream role. It didn't pay much. But it was a start. And more importantly, it shattered the thought that had chained him for so long. Asterisk, "I am a failure." The ripple effect. With the job came routine. With routine came a sense of stability. And with stability came confidence. Slowly, Ethan began to lift his eyes again, to think about the future instead of hiding from it. He still had dark days. The negative thoughts never disappeared completely. But he had learned something powerful. He could choose which thoughts to hold on to. One thought had nearly destroyed him. Asterisk, "Nobody would notice if I was gone." And one thought had saved him. Asterisk, "What if someone would care?" That small shift created a ripple effect that changed everything. The lesson. Ethan's story is not unique. Maybe you see yourself in him. Maybe you've had nights when the thought of giving up felt closer than the thought of holding on. Maybe you've been living under the weight of, "I'm not enough," or asterisk, "It's too late for me." But just like Ethan, you don't need to change everything at once. You don't need to silence every negative voice. You just need one thought strong enough to give you a reason to take one more step, to try one more time, to believe that tomorrow could be different from today. And here's the truth, that thought already lives in you. It might be buried under fear or pain, but it's there, waiting. So, remember Ethan's journey. Remember how close he came to the edge. Remember how one small, fragile thought turned into the first brick in rebuilding his life. If one thought can take you down, then one thought can lift you up. And that thought may be enough to keep you moving until the light breaks through again. So here we are, at the end of this journey together. And maybe right now your mind is quiet, or maybe it's still racing with the same old voices that have haunted you for so long. But before you leave, I want you to take this with you. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them, who chooses them, who decides which ones to water and which ones to let fade away. Think about everything we've walked through, how one thought can chain you, how one thought can free you, how even the smallest shift in perspective can become the first step toward a different life. Maybe you won't remember every word you've heard today. That's okay. But if you remember just one thing, let it be this. Asterisk, I don't have to believe every thought that enters my mind. Because that realization alone is power. That realization is freedom. A gentle reminder. You will still have days when the heavy thoughts come. Days when you feel like you've gone backward. Don't be discouraged by them. Healing and growth are not straight lines. They are messy, filled with ups and downs. What matters is not that you never fall. What matters is that you know you can rise again. And rising again always starts with one thought. Final picture. Imagine your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed. Some are seeds of fear, shame, doubt. Others are seeds of hope, courage, love. The question is not whether the negative seeds will show up, they will. The question is, which seeds will you water? Because the ones you water will grow. And over time, they will shape the landscape of your life. So water the thought that tells you, I am still learning. Just water the thought that whispers, it's not too late for me. Just water the thought that reminds you, I matter, even if I can't see it yet. And slowly, you'll see how those seeds bloom into strength, resilience, and a life that feels lighter than the one you're carrying now. The closing line. If one thought can take you down, then remember this. One thought can lift you up. And maybe, just maybe, the thought you choose today will be the one that changes everything tomorrow. Hold on to it. Let it breathe inside you. And when life feels heavy again, come back to it. Because sometimes the difference between despair and hope is only one thought.